From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, I'm Brigida Mack. Thanks for joining us for the September 26th edition of Carolina Week.
And I'm Tim Nelson. We're proud to be bringing you coverage of Carolina news and events.
Although many Americans are trying to move on with their lives, the September 11th attacks are continuing to impact all of us.
The economy is faltering, the stock market is reeling, and we're feeling the effects in the Triangle area. Local consumers have less confidence in the economy, and they're spending more carefully. Layoffs in the area mean people lose jobs, make less money, and have less money to spend, and that hurts business owners. But because the Triangle largely depends upon research and development companies and RTP and not on tourism, economic development specialist Harvey Goldstein expects the local economy to remain strong.
While there's certainly the experience of a downturn now, it's not going to be as severe as many other regions will face.
And that's good news for seniors graduating in May, who are hoping for an improved job market.
The annual minority and university career fairs are often the first step down the career path. But with the recent terrorist attacks and downturn in the economy, the career fairs have taken on a whole new meaning. It's that time again. Students came out in droves, resumes in hand, selling themselves to potential employers. But the mood for the career fairs was different this year. Carolina Junior Reed Drager says the competition is stiff.
Well, it seems to me that they're looking for very specific positions and just very few spots.
Many companies are downsizing, and recent national events are making it difficult for the economy to bounce back. All of this has left this year's crop of job seekers wondering if there are any jobs out there for them. Recruiters are optimistic, but say they're looking for the best and the brightest.
We're always looking for a specific set of skills, and people are interested in doing consulting. So I don't know that it's changed. I mean, we're always looking for a very high caliber of people.
But students say the vibes they're getting are uncertain at best. Experts say the key to finding a job when the economy's future is so uncertain is to be persistent, confident, and flexible. In this week's Speak Out, we asked seniors if the current state of the economy makes them worry about their job prospects.
I'm thinking about staying in school longer, pursuing a master's, maybe in education, specifically because of the job market.
There still are a lot of jobs out there, and I do have a good part-time job right now that looks like it could turn into something full-time.
I'm worried about what kind of job it may be, because it might not be something necessarily that I'll enjoy or something I might get the best income with.
I'm kind of nervous because I've only saw 2 companies that I would be interested in or that apply to my major, which is graphic design, and it's tough.
I guess that's kind of also helped my decision to try to go right into graduate school, because I feel like my options right now, you know, getting a job, a good job that is, are kind of low.
Our sample isn't scientific and shouldn't be taken as a reflection of widespread opinion on campus.
To help the area economy, some local residents are considering printing their own money. A group called NC Plenty is trying to put plenty into the pockets of Chapel Hill, Carrboro, and Durham residents. Plenty stands for Piedmont Local Economy Tender, and there's already a prototype for the bill. Residents would be able to use plenties at participating locally owned businesses and for such services as babysitting or landscaping. Organizers say that local currencies lessen the effects of inflation, and they help to keep wealth within the community. The idea has worked in other places, and group member Tim Clark believes that it'll work here too.
With a Plenty, you can be assured that that's going to then be spent right here again within our area. And every time that bill passes from hand to hand, it strengthens local commerce.
Organizers say they're on schedule to get the new currency in circulation by the spring. UNC Chapel Hill students are getting another tuition bill in the mail this week. Some will get help paying, but some won't. Because of a retroactive tuition increase, out-of-state students still owe the university $920. In-state students need to pay $94 more. All undergrads will have to pay the first $100. If students haven't maxed out their loans, the financial aid office will adjust the loans to cover the increase. Out-of-state students who are eligible will automatically receive a grant for $820. Check your Student Central account to find out if you're eligible for a grant.
We've heard the term America's New War. It may seem that most Americans are in agreement with military action, but here in Chapel Hill, a group is making its voice heard, saying peace, not war. A weekend peace march was led by the organization Coalition to End the Cycle of Violence. The crowd of 500 marched down Franklin Street, escorted by police. The organization's leaders carried a banner demanding the U.S. end the cycle of violence. Drums played, people sang, old and young held signs, listened, and united in support of peace.
It needs to be known that there's a sizable proportion of our population that has a different understanding of these issues and that believes in nonviolence, believes in a peaceful resolution.
Coalition members plan to attend a peace march in the nation's capital on the 29th. Other local residents are ready to fight if necessary, such as ROTC cadets on campus.
If you believe that the military is the institution that will equal safety, then I would say that they should feel pretty good, because there's not a doubt that our military is the best military in the world.
You can't really help but be scared. It's, it's just one of those natural things, but it's the greater good, so to speak, that you're going for.
If anything, it's kind of reiterated what the military does and why we're here. The military's sole purpose is to defend the nation.
We have a place here, and that's to learn and be trained to be naval officers, whether it be in the Navy or the Marine Corps, so that one day we can go out and make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen again.
Hundreds of emails and phone calls are pouring in, condemning UNC Chapel Hill Chancellor James Measer and some faculty members for advocating peace and nonviolence after the September 11th terrorist attacks. Critics say a September 17th teach-in became a left-wing fundamentalist rally. They're urging people to contact the chancellor about allowing what they call anti-American rallies on campus. But Measer says all rallies at Carolina have offered a diverse variety of viewpoints. Well, should the recent attacks on America change your plans to study abroad?
We'll find out if Carolina students are choosing to stay closer to home next summer when Carolina Week continues.
I'm principal of a new kind of public school. It's open up to 15 hours a day, year-round. It has loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. We have medical and dental services right here. Our teachers have more time to teach. Our students are better prepared to learn. There's just one problem. We can't get the kids to go home.
Find out how your public school can be more like this one. Call 1-877-LOVES-TO-LEARN.
5 years after a fatal fraternity house fire, members of the UNC Chapel Hill Greek community are working to meet an approaching deadline. The Phi Gamma Delta house on Cameron Avenue is nearly new, rebuilt after a May 1996 fire that killed 5 Carolina students. In September of that year, the Chapel Hill Town Council passed an ordinance requiring fraternity and sorority houses to install sprinkler systems by this November 11th. Chapel Hill Fire Chief Dan Jones has worked closely with Greek leaders, helping to install the plans for those sprinkler systems. He's confident these systems can prevent fire-related deaths.
The bottom line is there's never been a fatality in a structure that has an operating sprinkler system in this country.
11 UNC Chapel Hill sorority houses are in compliance with the town ordinance, and 18 of 21 fraternity houses are expected to meet the deadline.
Americans are getting more and more food for their money, but nutritionists say supersized meal portions wreak havoc on our health. Medical reporter Tanya Ziegler has that story.
Go large, king size, super size. Restaurants call them value meals, but nutritionist Jenny Favre says more isn't always better.
We have the problem of obesity in our country, which in and of itself carries a lot of health risks.
Experts say 61% of American adults are overweight or obese. That's almost 108 million Americans whose weight puts them at greater risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. Favre says a major part of the problem is that restaurant meal portions have grown considerably in recent years.
You can, I think, cite numerous examples of normal serving sizes that have through the years grown into these obviously out of proportion serving sizes that no one needs to eat.
Nutrition experts say normal restaurant portions have at least 2 to 3 times the calories an average person needs. But most people supersize their meals because it's the best value.
Favre says it's frustrating to see people who have a weight problem buying large portions to save money.
When I see, for example, an obviously overweight child, I think that's where it starts.
Favre says people who want to supersize their meals should do so with fruits and vegetables. She recommends 7 to 9 servings a day. In Chapel Hill, I'm Tanya Ziegler, Carolina Week.
People who aren't overweight should also be wary of large meal portions. Nutritionists warn that thin people are also at risk for heart disease, depending on their genetics, their dietary intake, and other risk factors.
Well, you might think the recent terrorist attacks would make students question the safety of studying abroad. But that's not so. Students are still signing up to travel overseas. The turnout at the Study Abroad Fair Wednesday showed students aren't too concerned. The Study Abroad office has received more applications to go abroad than it got last year. And Program Director Dr. Robert Miles is confident the safety of UNC Chapel Hill students won't be compromised, and there's no reason for students to reconsider going abroad.
The reasons for undertaking study abroad remain as valid now as they were 2 or 3 weeks ago.
The Study Abroad program at UNC Chapel Hill already has measures in place to protect students while they're abroad. However, if the State Department decides it's unsafe for citizens to be overseas, the Study Abroad office will put the program on hold. Each year, more than 1,000 Carolina students travel the globe through study abroad programs. Carolina Week's Callie Tainter and I spent this past summer in Argentina, documenting the fight of Las Abuelas.
This is the story of a tireless search that is now 25 years old.
From the first day that they took our children and our grandchildren, we have been searching. That has been our goal, to search, to find.
A search springing from tragedy, a search for identity and truth. In the mid-1970s, Argentina is in turmoil, with a failing economy and civil unrest. 1976, a military dictatorship takes over to combat left-wing guerrilla groups and save the country from itself. But what begins as a fight against a few thousand armed militants turns into a modern-day Holocaust.
They made a declaration that said, first we'll kill the militants, after that the politicians, after that the impassive, and then the indifferent. They killed them all.
More than 300 secret concentration camps are set up across the country. People considered to be subversives are kidnapped and brought to the camps. In 7 years, more than 30,000 people are murdered. The dead become known as los desaparecidos, or the disappeared.
We say that it wasn't just one person that they took, as in the case of my mother. It was an entire generation, most of them kidnapped and killed.
Of those 30,000, some 500 are pregnant. They are brought to the camps, often tortured like other prisoners. After giving birth, most of the mothers are killed. Their babies stolen, brought to different families, given new names and false identities.
If the military returned them to their families after killing their parents, the children would have grown up resenting the military and the country, and the military did not want that. That is why they stole the babies.
A quarter century later, the search continues. They're the Abuelas de la Plaza de Mayo, a group of grandmothers who've been fighting since 1977, searching for their children's children, those babies stolen during the dictatorship. Through peaceful protests, advertisements, and endless phone calls, the Abuelas and other family members have found 71 of the 500 missing children, offering them the truth about their painful past, reuniting them with their biological families, and doing what they can to right history's wrongs. Juliana Garcia's brother was taken as an infant.
Your life is a lie. You are a lie. Your name is a lie. Your date of birth is a lie. Your parents are a lie. Everything is a lie.
But time is not on the grandmother's side, with most of them now almost 80. What's more, the stolen children are now adults with lives of their own. As the years pass, the search becomes more difficult, but the grandmothers are still looking, and they're not planning to stop anytime soon.
I don't want to die without finding my grandson, because I feel that I owe it to my daughter. God guides me, and the only thing that I ask is He gives me the strength until the end.
But finding a grandchild doesn't always lead to a happy ending. We spoke with one man who says the Abuelas ruined his life. His story next week. And switching to weather now, it's been a bit of a cold front lately.
I know that cold weather came out of nowhere. Is the fall weather here to stay, Kelly?
Well, fall is definitely here. We can keep hoping for an Indian summer, return, but for now the pattern should be staying the same over the next couple of days. I'll show you the weekend forecast in a minute, but first I want to get to the weather question this week, and that is, at what time of the day is the relative humidity generally the highest? Is it in the morning, the late afternoon, early evening, or at the night? I'll be back with your answer and your weekend forecast after the break.
To a child, a little of your time can make a lifetime of difference. That's why the Greenville Family Partnership sponsored a hike, because kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
Standing right in front of them.
Whether you're a good storyteller or a good listener, you can help. To find out about community drug prevention programs, call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. Well, fall has certainly arrived and everyone's preparing for it, including this little guy who we filmed just outside. He's already stocking up on his winter food supplies and outside enjoying the cool temperatures and dry weather. The good news is this weather should continue over the next couple of days, as blue skies and dry weather is certainly in the forecast for the weekend. We'll get to that in just a second, but what a difference a year makes. Just about 1 year ago today, we were still cleaning up from Hurricane Floyd damage. Hurricane Floyd posed 57 deaths to our area. It was the deadliest hurricane since 1972, and we're still cleaning up from it now, and so far it's caused $5 billion in damage. Now, like I said, a year ago certainly is different than today. If we take a look at the tropics right now, not too active. You see an increase in strength in Hurricane Humberto, which surprised all the forecasters. It's up there churning in the cool Atlantic waters, and yet it's still increasing in strength. Luckily, it's moving away from us, so it doesn't pose a threat to our coastlines anytime soon. If we switch over to the surface map, you can see North Carolina and the majority of the United States right now is sitting high and dry under a huge dome of high pressure that kind of came down out of Canada with the onset of fall, so it was perfect timing. Now, there's low pressure to our south, which might impact us as we head into the weekend. Sunday and Monday, we do see a chance of more clouds and a slight chance of showers, but for Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday, we see highs around 72 to 73 degrees, very seasonable for this time of the year, and lows sticking in the upper 40s, so it's time to start opening the windows and turning off the air conditioning. Now, Saturday looks good for the game, but if you're not going to be around for the game this weekend and you plan to head down to the beach or so, Saturday looks beautiful, high near 75 degrees and clear skies. Sunday, we see a slight chance of a shower in the afternoon, but for the most part, nice there too, a bit warmer than here with the high of 79. Now, if the mountains were in your plans for this weekend, maybe the leaves are starting to change colors up there. A high of 66 on Saturday and 68 on Sunday, with lows getting down into the mid-40s, so it'll start to get chilly up in the mountains. So, you know, not too humid around here, luckily, but in a typical day, did you figure out when relative humidity might be the highest?
Maybe early evening.
Early afternoon.
Oh, I tricked you again. It's actually in the morning. That's why we get morning dew. The relative humidity is almost always the highest first thing in the morning.
Thanks, Kelly.
Have a good weekend.
Well, Ben, there was a whole lot of this going on Saturday, but it was on the Carolina Blue side of the field.
And our goalposts definitely held up a lot better than the FSU defense.
I don't think anyone saw this type of dominance coming. The Heels shocked the nation and sent Kenan Stadium into an impromptu field party, literally. Coming up, we'll show you what all those fans were yelling about, and as well, we're going to hear from some of the players on their momentous victory against the 5th-ranked Seminoles. Carolina Week returns after this.
Every 18 minutes, another name is added to the list of persons waiting for life-saving. In North Carolina, your decision to donate will not be carried out unless your legal next of kin gives consent at the time of your death, even if you've indicated it on your driver's license with a red heart. Share your life, share your decision, so that your wishes may be carried out for you, and someone else's wish can come true.
Welcome back to Carolina Week Sports. As fans entered Kenan Stadium on Saturday, most expected to witness a blowout with 5th-ranked Florida State in town. Carolina had never beaten the Seminoles in a dozen tries, and head coach John Bunting and the Heels were still looking for their first win this season. After a week delay, the Heels were excited about their home opener. Carolina would strike first as Darian Durant hit Sam Aiken, who flips into the end zone to give the Heels a 7-0 lead. Florida State would take a 9-7 lead into the half, but Durant hits Chesley Borders on a 52-yard touchdown pass at the start of the third quarter. Heels back on top, 14-9. In the final period, Ronald Curry finds a wide-open Corey Bailey, and only one thought crossed through Coach Bunting's mind.
Please catch it.
Bailey caught it and coasted into the end zone for a 53-yard strike and a 27-9 lead. Behind a suffocating defense and 2 more scores, the Heels would blow out the Seminoles 41-9. A victory, Curry says, was well worth the wait.
You know, just to play against them and beat them after losing to them 3 years, getting blown out for 3 years, and then, you know, kind of returning the favor my senior year is a great feeling.
We prepared all week for this team, and when that clock strikes 0, I mean, there was no bigger joy that I've ever had in my life.
Pandemonium is the word that applies as Chapel Hill celebrates the dominating victory. Coach Bunting hopes it's the first of many.
I think it's special, really special for our football team and our football program. I think there's going to be bigger wins down the road.
Julius Peppers was named National Defensive Player of the Week after recording 10 tackles, a sack, and an interception against the Seminoles. Heels setter Adam Metz and quarterback Darian Durant joined Peppers in earning ACC Player of the Week honors. The UNC field hockey team is back in action. The top-ranked Heels hosted Kent State and James Madison during the weekend. Carolina suffered its first loss of the season to the Golden Flashes from Kent State and would drop a spot in the national rankings. But the team bounces back Sunday against James Madison. Abby Woolley scores the first goal to put the Heels ahead for good. But the Heels defense keeps holding the Dukes scoreless until the final minute of play. Midway through the second half, Meredith Keller gives UNC its final goal of the contest. Carolina wins 3-1 to get its first week since its 2-week tragedy-related layoff. The Carolina women's soccer team is on a roll after convincing wins at the Adidas Classic in Durham. This was about the only action near the Carolina goal all weekend. On Sunday against Missouri, Alyssa Ramsey starts off a long day of scoring with this nice tap into the back of the net, assisted by Susan Bush and Jenna Klugel. Ramsey returns the favor as Bush puts the ball easily past Missouri keeper. Carolina, now 5-0, finishes the day with 7 goals by 7 different players, while recording its 5th straight shutout. On Friday, the ladies soccer team opened the tournament against Georgia, and this game got out of hand early. Only 3 minutes in, Ann Morell puts the ball in the back of the net, Heels up 1-0. Heels up 4-0 when Elizabeth Ball scores easily. Carolina 5-zip. The Heels go into halftime up 6-0, and they continue to pour it on in the second half. Alyssa Ramsey would complete a 3-goal night with the 8th Carolina goal, and the Heels would tack on one more after that. Carolina crushes Georgia 9-0. The Carolina women's volleyball team is also making some noise. Head coach Joe Segula and his squad faced UNC Charlotte Tuesday night at Carmichael Auditorium. Laura Green and the Heels slammed the door on the 49ers early. Nicole Reese leads the charge with 16 kills, including this putback. Carolina wins the game 3-0. On Friday, Katie Wright came up big and helped sweep the Terrapins 3-0. The Lady Cavaliers of Virginia fell victim to the Lady Heels the night before that. Eve Rackham taps off to Athea Green for the score early on, and later Nicole Reese gets a little help from her friends, putting this game-winning putback. The Tar Heels down the Cavaliers 3-0 to complete a perfect sweep for their homestand and push their record to 9-3 overall and 2-0 in the ACC. So that's sports, and they just came out with this nice new T-shirt, and I'm sure Florida State is doing a little weeping after the big win last weekend.
That is great.
Thanks, Ben. We'll hope that they can keep it up against State. All right. Well, he's been in movies, television shows, and now UNC Chapel Hill's Memorial Hall.
We'll tell you which Hollywood star made a special visit to Carolina when Carolina Week returns.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. We have liftoff. Join the next mission aboard the Moorhead Planetarium. For more information on Sky Rambles, call 549-6863.
Plans for renovating Memorial Hall are underway, but before construction can begin, there needs to be money.
Carolina Week's Michelle Muscatello tells us there's no better way to bring in the big bucks than by bringing in a big star.
10 days after terrorists attacked the United States, Chapel Hill residents were ready for a night of laughs with Dr. Huxtable. Bill Cosby's virtuoso benefit performance seemed to be just what the doctor ordered.
You know, the World Trade Center and going to war and stuff. I don't know, I just need a break.
He's always seemed to cheer us up, young or old.
When he has his tonsils taken out, it's really funny.
For Carolina's Coach D and the basketball team, they hope the Temple fan will stick to the stage.
He's got a pretty good jump shot, so we have to be careful. If he was out on the floor, we'd make sure we couldn't leave him alone from the three-point line.
But what about the real reason Cosby came to town? The Memorial Hall renovations.
Oh yeah, it needs to be rebuilt. It's kind of shady in there.
Well, with the $140,000 raised at Cosby's 2 performances, contractors will break ground on Memorial Hall on time, May 30th.
What other big star could pull in this much money?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe Yo-Yo Ma. Maybe.
But Yo-Yo Ma isn't the next performer. It's violinist Mark O'Connor. In Chapel Hill, I'm Michelle Muscatello, Carolina Week.
The senior class is working to bring Cosby back to Chapel Hill as the 2002 commencement speaker.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thank you for joining us, and be sure to watch next week.
Until then, have a good night and a good week.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.